Well, as Suzanne said, my name is Jeannine Hedberg, and I'm a licensed Unity teacher here at Unity of Naples. And what we're doing this year is we're talking about spiritual principles and how we use them in our lives. And so today's talk is about how we cooperate with spiritual law. And how do we use order in our life? I mean, it's kind of hard for me to think of sometimes. I mean, you'll make a cake and you know there's an order, things need to be put together. You plant a corn seed and you know it goes through orderly steps to become a corn plant. If you're planning a trip, you should go through certain steps to get there. So we do have order that we express in our life. But the order that I want to talk about today is the order of creation. And first, let me tell you, it's 8 pages long. And so I don't want this to seem like speed dating. We're not speed dating with their 7 days of creation. We're not speed dating with them, but I want to show you that the 7 days of creation are 7 steps in the creative process that we each use every day. We already use it. We already know what to do. This is just putting some parameters around it, I guess you'd say. So we're going to use this story that we all know from Genesis 1. So, in the beginning, the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. In the first day, as we cooperate with creative law, we may feel that we're in a void, we're in a place of darkness, we don't know what to do. But I want to give you another vision for that void, that darkness. Think about when you meditate and you sit with your eyes closed and you're in this place of darkness, you're in your upper room, you're in your closet that Jesus said, close the door, make it dark. Perhaps that void is there when we meditate. And it's not really a void, it is dark, but the void comes in and what's our next idea? What's our next creation? And so as we're in the meditative place, this place of supposed darkness, that is where the miracle starts to happen with creation. So again, the first thing is God said, "Let there be light." And here in Unity, we look at light as insight or guidance. And lots of times we're searching for illumination. I know for years I searched out there. Every teacher, every book, illumination was out there. Could I go to India? Could I do something different to find illumination? And what I've found since I've been at Unity is that illumination comes from within. It is who and what we are as we open to our place in God as an aspect of God. We are linked with God as co-creators. So God is often defined as that field of energy in which we live and move and have our being. So it's a field of energy, and we vibrate with energy at different levels. And so in this field of energy, we cooperate with that field and create whatever we want to create. Now, it is not separate. It is not somebody out there, God out there is going to give me something, is going to create something for me. We are co-creators. And there's an allegory is the wrong word. There's a comparison that one of my favorite authors, Eric Butterworth, uses. And he says that God is not in us like a raisin is in a bun. God is in us as the ocean is in a wave. We're 100% made of the ocean and we're expressing as a wave. So we're 100% made of God's stuff and we're expressing as each of us uniquely. And so our creative process follows these same steps, but we each get the different things that we want to create, or the different aspects of our life, or the different vacation, or creating a family, creating a business, whatever it is we want to create. Each of us creates as a co-creator with God. So let there be light. That first step is tremendously important in illumination coming from within. And so as we talk about order, there is a place that we start. We start from this place of meditation. We start from this place of sitting with God, sitting with the love that we know, spirit, oneness, allness, whatever you want to call God. We sit with that force, that being, that principle, and come up with an illumined idea. Now, The key here is that we're going to let it be. God said, let there be light. He didn't say, make me some light. I'm going to force some light to be made. God, principle, said, let there be light. Let there be illumination. Let there be something wonderful coming forth. So I think let there be is the key here in each of these steps. So we want to see from this consciousness of our oneness with God. And another word for God is love, so we'll see from that consciousness of love. All right, so we go into day 2. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and God called the firmament heaven. Now, in history books, we remember studying back at thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, when we all thought the world was flat, and that the heavens were this arc across the sky, and that sun and moon just ran across it to support the earth. And, poor Galileo didn't do very well with the Catholic Church back in the 1600s. They persecuted him for supporting that theory, that the world was round, and the world actually revolved around the sun. We know that as the truth today, but 400 plus years ago, they did not know that as the truth. So I think that the call after the first day of creation is that we're looking for proof, we're looking for answers. We want to go out there and find out why something. Why did we go do this? What can we do to make this thing that we want to make happen? And that comes from faith. I believe the organizing principle of God had faith as an intrinsic one of its aspects. And through that faith, it said, gosh, let's make a firmament. Let's make something above this ground. Let's create the next step. And let's call it heaven. And let's call it heaven, that place of creation, that place of perfection, that place of ultimate love. God has created heaven. Now, faith has a couple of sides to it, because we can make a choice of what we have faith in. Do we have faith in lack? Do we have faith in limitation? Do we have faith in worry? And I've shared before that I grew up in a home where my father was a worrier. A wonderful man, but all he did was worry, and I had a wonderful life. But when I look at this and I say that I don't want my faith to be based in worry. I want my faith to be based in the knowledge that I am whole, complete, perfect, and that just as God clothes the lilies of the field, God clothes and takes care of me. So it's that faith that I have as the next step as we go into the creative process. So I guess the other thing that before I came to Unity, I always thought that God did something for me. God worked a miracle for me. God made something happen for me. But when we take the co-creative relationship and now put our faith in it, we know that we are co-creators with God. So that's step 2. Now, I think the key here is let it be. Let there be a firmament. Not make me some firmament, make something happen. That comes from our ego often, that we can control that. But God said, let there be. Let there be. And that's the key to each of these 7 steps. I'll give you a hint going forward. But let there be. So we have within us this unending divine reservoir of all the good that God is, all the love that God is. We have every idea that we have is already complete in the ideation of love, in the idea of love. That idea is already complete. The steps are already there to make it happen. And we just walk through this path, these 7 steps in a cycle, and we create our wonderful lives. So it's not a hard thing, but we need to look at what are we putting our faith in. As you remember, St. Paul said, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And so we have faith in the good that we want to create. We have faith in the good that is our lives as we live them on this earth plane. That's where we put our faith, not in worry, not in fatigue, not in lack, and not in limitation, but we know the goodness of God, the grace of God is ours. So that's the second day. Let there be firmament. So that's where our idea comes from. We ideate something we want to do or something we want to be. Then we get to day 3. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together into one place and let the dry land appear. Now, The story, as Unity looks at it, and many religious groups look at it, is this is a story of creation. It's an allegory or a mystical, metaphysical story of creation. It's not that X amount of years ago, an anthropomorphic being up there with a white beard said, "Land be." This is a tale of how we make things happen and how we create our worlds. So God as principle, God as love, ideates. There's a story that every object that exists in our world, like that microphone stand, came about first by an idea in someone's mind. They came up with the idea, they designed it, they put clothes around it, and then it was created. So it's the same creative process we're going through, whether you're making that chair, whether you're making a dress, making dinner, creating a new company, growing your family. It's the same creative process. And so in day 3, we want to learn how we connect with oneness, how we connect with allness. And I think everybody who's a prayer chaplain knows the answer to that. We connect through prayer. And prayer is not a one defined thing where you sit and you go through certain steps. Prayer is an ongoing communication with God, an ongoing communication. And yes, we can have times of prayer and we can have thought around prayer, but prayer is really what our lives are in relationship to God. We are in constant communication. Our thoughts are prayers. What we say is a prayer. How we use God's name, which is I am, is a prayer. And when we say what I will call using the name of God in vain, when I say I'm sick, I'm tired, I'm poor, I'm really angry, that's using the name of God in vain, because that I am is who we are. That's how we create. So since I joined Unity many years ago, or found Unity, I've been very careful about the things I say after the word I am. I am whole, I am complete, I am perfect, I am prosperous, I am joy. Those are the things that I say after I am in my life. And I'm very careful with that. So prayer is really our way that we're going to connect with the allness, with the field of love. And prayer sitting out in your garden, prayer sitting at your couch with your eyes closed, saying a prayer, reading a beautiful story from the Bible. These are all aspects of prayer, as is making a wonderful dinner, as is going for a walk with your child, as is doing everything we do is actually a prayer. And we want to make them prayers of joy, prayers of co-creation with this wonderful field of energy. So with this third day, the dry land appears. And what that means is we've now formed a mental image of what we want to create. We've formed a mental image of that stand right there that we want to create. It's not created yet, but we have the image in our mind. And the image in our mind is new. It's a new idea. Not that there might not have been something before that, but we have some new idea that we're putting forth here. It's not copycatting something. This is a new idea that's come to us in meditation, through our faith, through our prayers. This new idea has come forth. And so that's what the third day of creation does for us in this whole system. We walk through each of these steps. And the thing that I'd love for you all to see is that we do this all throughout the day. We're in a creative process when we think about what we're going to make for dinner. We're in a creative process. Suzanne, aren't we in a creative process when we do a painting? This same process when we plant something in the garden. This is a creative process that we're going through. And there's a creative process for what we're going to wear today. There's a creative process for where we're going to go this weekend. There's a creative process for dinner. There's a creative process for everything that we do. And we're at different points in this creative process. But the key is to know that it is a process, because day 4 is always my hardest day. Let me tell you right now. Day 4 is always my hardest day, because it starts like this. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night." And God made 2 great lights, one to rule the day and one to rule the night. Now, Charles Fillmore goes on to say that the sun, the great light of the day, means understanding. And the moon means will. And I never knew, until I came to Unity, that the moon doesn't have its own light. I should have known that. But, it doesn't have its own light. The moon, we only see the moon because it reflects the sun. And so when we look at understanding as a spiritual principle, and we look at that's the sun, and when the moon comes out, it's our will, our willingness being reflected from our understanding. If our understanding is of lack and of limitation, our will be of lack or limitation. If our understanding is of peace and joy and love and passion and creativity, that is what our will come forth as. I'll tell you a funny story. I've been going to write a book for 15 years. I've got the name of the book. I've got the chapter layout. I've got what I want to say. And do you think I've got the will to do it? I'm doing other things, and I'm doing this, and I'm traveling, and I'm working, and there just isn't time for it. So I was working to create this wonderful thing that I think could change the world. And yet, my will is not there to do it. It's not something I'm real proud of, but I'm working at it. So those are the things that can happen. We can create something, and our will is simply not there to bring it forth. And that's okay, because there are other things that we focus on and other projects we do. But I know for me, this book sits there as something I'd really like to do. So we'll keep working on it. But please know that there is nothing wrong with not completing something. Its time may not be here. There will be a time for all of those things. There will be a time to create everything that we want to create. So by having these two great lights, and again, light is illumination. The sun means understanding, and the moon, as it reflects the sun, means our willingness, our will to come forward and do the work. So day 4, we really give a direction to our creative flow. Now, as we get into day 5, this is a fun day. And God said, let the waters swarm with swarms of living creatures. Waters often mean in our tradition unexpressed capacity or potential. So let the waters, let our potential swarm with living creatures. And in Unity, we look at swarms, groups of flowers, groups of birds, groups of cows in a field, groups of children playing. We look at them as our thoughts. And so when I get to this point in the creative process, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do. I know that I'm walking down this path. And then at this step in day 5, the swarms of ideas start coming in. Well, you could do it this way, or you could do it that way, or what about this? Did you read that person's book over there? All of these swarming ideas come together, and I'm like, it feels like chaos. And so yes, in the middle of the creative process, we can often feel chaos, chaotic, we don't know. But it's sitting with that chaos, sitting with all of these myriad ideas that are coming forth from one mind. They're not coming forth from someplace else. They're coming forth from love expressing as one mind, as oneness. And in our relationship with oneness, we are co-creators. So it's really a wonderful, wonderful place to find ourselves in all of this swirling chaos. Now, there's one more thing that we talk about in Unity with swarms, with groups of things. And that's what I talked about a little bit this morning in the prayer, that we come together as a group. And as we breathe together, as we breathe the breath of God, as we sit in the hands of God, we come together into what's called coherence. Our hearts start to beat at the same rate. We start to, as a community, breathe at the same rate. We start to smile at the same rate. We start to embrace each other in the field of infinite possibilities as a community, as one organism. Just as, have you ever seen a flock of geese? They're going down a way, and then all of a sudden they turn like this, or little minnows in a pool, and they're all swimming, and then all of a sudden they go in one direction. How do they know? Scientists believe that it talks about they become a group, they become one. And for the survival of the group, they all think as one, that there's a common field surrounding them, and they think as one. That common field surrounds us as a community. It surrounds each of our families. It surrounds each of our friends. It surrounds the entire county, the state. It surrounds everything. And so as we can come together as a community and be this force for change in the world, this is how we will do it. And I just, I feel so absolutely marvelous to share this with you. And please know about these swarms of thoughts that they're all good. They come from one place. They come from a place of goodness, and they're meant to help us winnow through them, to pick the ones that we want to support, but they come to us as good. And I think that one of the things that I learned early on in Unity is that all paths lead to God. So whether I make this step here and go in this direction, or I make this step here and go in this direction, both of those directions lead me to God. And they lead me to the same God. They lead me to the same understanding that I am a co-creator with this wonderful force called love throughout the universe. And I just want us to see that it's not hard. It's just steps that all flow into each other. Now, so with all of those thoughts and the chaos, we just asked you to trust in the process. And so we get to day 6. And God said, "Let us make man in our image and after our likeness." And they were made male and female. He created them. So we are made in and after the likeness of God, of this creative force. There is no difference. We're expressing as a part of God. I say we're chips off the old block sometimes. And that's true. We're not made of anything that is not good. We are not made of anything that is not God. And so as we go through this creative process and use these steps, it is from that goodness that we create. Now, creation, again, starts with an idea. And all of these steps to this point are ideations. They're in our mind. Step 6 is where it comes to fruition. Step 6 is where we build the chair, where we make the meal, where we build the microphone stand. That's where step 6 comes in. We didn't do that in step 1. It took all of the work, all of the faith, all of the prayer work, all of the coming together, all of the chaos to come to this place of creation. So step 6 is where we do create what it is we were working to create. And knowing that we are co-creators, we use this knowledge, this understanding of this process to come together and to understand that each of us has this ability, and each of us uses this ability, and each of us uses this ability as a part of order. God is the order. Love is the order of the universe. And so we cooperate with the power of order in the creative process. And this is how we do it. So, again, the other thing that is part of this saying is that God goes on to say, let man have dominion. And it's been read by lots of religions as dominion over everything in the earth plane. But I really believe that this is dominion over our spiritual self. We have dominion over all of our spiritual selves, our super consciousness, if you want to call it that. That's what we have dominion over, and dominion to come into this world and create as God, as love, as peace, as passion. And that's what we're called to create. Now, the other thing that comes from this passage often is the idea of Jesus as the only begotten Son. And in Unity, we don't see that, but what we talk about is, as Meister Eckhart, who is a medieval mystic monk, said, God never begot but one Son, but the eternal is forever begetting the only begotten. So back in the 1300s, I think was when Meister Eckhart lived, he knew that God is begetting each of us as the only begotten, as the perfection of God, as the Christ, which we call it here in Unity. We call the perfection of God the Christ. We are each created as that. We are identical to Jesus. We're a human being, body, flesh, all of those things. What Jesus was able to accomplish was to come into that oneness with God, to know his oneness with God, to know and embrace his Christ essence. We're each born as that. And so our path is to get to that place of understanding that we are the Christ, that we are the perfection of God. So that's really what day 6 happens. We get in the flow and we create this wonderful creation that we're going to create. So I'd like to invite Amy and Jesse back up as we look at day 7. And we all know what happens on day 7. And on the 7th day, God finished his work, which he had done, and then he rested. Now, again, we all know that Sunday is sacred in many religious traditions. But by rested, I believe what God means here is that we sit with our creation. We know it is good. We go, gosh, that was fun. And we say, what else can I do? So from this place of creation, we're able to say, this is finished. This is good. And we go back to now taking a breath, taking the brucha, the breath of God into us, and going back into the void, going back into the darkness, going back into meditation to say, gosh, God, what's next? What am I going to create next? And it's a cycle. So I'd like you to see these 7 steps as a cycle. And the cycle really is, we're in the void and we say, let there be light, let there be illumination. With faith, we start to see the firmament come about. With prayer, we can actually see what might be, what we might create. We see the 2 lights, we have understanding, and our will comes into play. The swarming of ideas comes next, and then there's the fruition of the ideas, and then we go to rest. It's a cycle, and it's 7 steps, echoing the 7 days of creation, and it is ours. It is ours to use. It is what we do every day, every moment as we create. And so I'd just like to close with a small meditation. If Amy and Jesse want to lead us with music, that'd be marvelous.
I'm gonna play. Can't wait to celebrate. I'm gonna raise and praise all the good I'm given. So I'm praising everything. I'm gonna pray, pray, pray. It's gonna make my day. Can't wait to see the ways. All the good I'm given is changing everything.
Let's just take a deep centering breath together again. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. And visualize the supportive universe that we live in. Feel centered in the oneness with the infinite. Remember, you don't have to go anywhere to find God. The wave does not go anywhere to find the ocean. It is the ocean in expression. God is present as a presence at all times and in all places. What is God? God is the allness of the universe, focused and centered as you. You are an individualized expression of the allness of God. You pray from this consciousness of that allness, which is rushing, streaming, and pouring into you from all sides, while you now sit in the silence. And now as we come back, know that you are a perfect idea in infinite mind. You are whole now. The wholeness is the only way the universe knows you. Let the words of creation, let there be light, and there is light, resonate as you, and you will know for yourself, I am the light of the world, and I let my light shine. And so it is. Amen.
me to celebrate. I'm gonna raise and praise all the good I'm given. I'm praising everything. With all the good I'm given, I'm praising everything.
And so it marvelously is.